you go.
You okay with the storm?
Yeah, no issues. It didn't even occur where I lived. So that was nice. We were fortunate.
Just talk about getting Baker into rhythm of just the stark contrast from the Broncos game. To see him start 12 and 13 and get 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he was sharp. We were all really on the same page about the plan. I thought the staff did a phenomenal job getting the guys ready to play this week, responding the right way. They really were kind of dialed into what we were trying to do, how we wanted to attack that defense, and the guys were playing hard. They were playing fast. Baker was on and getting the ball and spitting the ball out and getting the ball to the right guys at the right time. So the guys just did a really good job of executing, especially early on, what we were trying to get done and jumping out to a fast start.
He's obviously an incredibly talented quarterback, drafted #1 overall, but you see a touchdown throw with 0 margin for error to Palmer, the throw to Godwin, the pinpoint accuracy. Does that make you kind of go wild?
Oh yeah, for sure. I was kind of surprised he let it rip in there. There was a linebacker underneath. Trey did a good job getting inside. That was an us or nobody type throw. He makes a great throw into a tight window. Trey makes a great catch, and that's football. That's kind of what we've been hoping to see is just more guys making plays. It might not be wide open. It might not be perfectly schemed up. That was just a slant flat combination type play that has been run for years and years, and those guys executed it because it's about players making those plays come to life.
Both got going, and they both had 4.9 yards per carry. Seemed like there's a little bit more gap there in the run scheme. How pleased are you that the run game got going on Sunday, and going forward, how confident do you feel that you can get it picked up?
Yeah, it's a week-to-week thing, right? We're trying to get better each week. I thought both guys, especially Rashad, was running. They were running hard, running through arm tackles. Those guys both answered the bell, in terms of coming out aggressively, breaking tackles, running physically. I thought the tight ends did a really nice job in the run game as well, being physical. Cade and Payne both did a really nice job. It was good to see those guys play at the level that they played. Rashad made some great plays in the pass game. One on a tip where he's behind him, makes a great play, makes the guy miss. And then also on the screen later on a low ball, he makes Nakobe Dean miss in space. And those guys were playing really well on Sunday. I was very pleased with those two.
There's so much familiarity with Atlanta, with Raheem, with Zach. You know them and they know you well.
Yeah.
How much more of a challenge is it when there's so much awareness both ways?
Yeah, that's definitely a challenge, right? I'm sure a lot of our calls are very similar. A lot of, maybe the no huddle and verbiage, but it's hard because you look at them defensively, you can definitely see a Rams flavor, but Jimmy Lake has put his own twist and turn on that defense. They're doing some really good things. They've got some really good players, especially at the safety position and up front. They've definitely improved up front as well. So, it's going to be a little bit of a chess match, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, if we can try to control the line of scrimmage and play the game on their side of the line of scrimmage and play the way we played last week, good things will happen. That's all we really care about is if we come out with the competitive nature, the toughness, the physicality, and just going out and playing the game the way it's supposed to be played, the result's the result.
Understanding how important Mike and Chris are to the offense, how great was it to get some production from other receivers in the last game with Trey with the touchdown and Sterling Shepard stepping up when Trey got hurt?
Big time. That's what we talked about on Saturday night in this exact room was guys are going to need to step up and make plays and not just do their job, do their job really well in order for us to go and win that game on Sunday. Schooley and Sean Tucker steps up and makes plays, and Shep and Trey. It's just when you have guys down, well, it's not an excuse. It's truly next man up. It's a results-based business. So we've got to go out there. And those guys, I was really proud to see Trey make a competitive catch like that. Bummed that he ended up getting nicked up because I thought he was having a good game. And then obviously to see Shep and to feel his energy throughout that game was fun to watch.
I know you weren't here for when they transitioned to more of a zone rushing attack, but it's not always kind of an overnight thing. Where would you say this O-line is in terms of kind of making that transition?
You know, it's like I said, it's week to week. You're trying to get better every week. You know, sometimes zones there, sometimes gaps there. It's more just kind of based on what you're getting. And Philly had started the game out in that 6-1 structure. We kind of threw them out of it a little bit, which got them into some more nickel structures. We ran, you know, just a little bit of mid-zone. It wasn't a ton. Their linebackers were really filling downhill on some of the mid-zone runs, which were then peeling off our combinations up front. So you lose the intent of mid-zone when those backers are playing so heavily downhill. That's why we got to some more of those toss perimeter type plays to get the ball on the edge a little bit while still being able to be physical with a kick out type block with the tight end. So, you know, zone is a play of attrition. You've got to continue to do it to get better at it. But sometimes, you know, the defense does kind of dictate what you end up running.
What about the perimeter stuff, though? You bring up a
Yeah.
good point because that wasn't something we saw a ton of in the past, but
Yeah.
it seems like they're doing it more with
Yeah.
more success.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got to be able to attack the defense at all different, you know, angles. And, man, our thought process going into that game was not to just early on run the ball right down the middle. Like, that was probably not going to work in our favor. You know, so we did try to go out, spit the ball on the perimeter, quick screens, you know, quick passes, get the ball on the perimeter in the run game, and then, okay, maybe if we can tire these guys out a little, now go inside and try to get some of those things going. So, you know, we scored on the flip to Bucky down in the red zone after we, you know, didn't get it in on the one duo run. But, yeah, so when you got backs that can make people miss in space and you got some linemen that can run, some of those pin and pull type plays are helpful.
Getting Baker into rhythm, like, you know, he was obviously hot, and you schemed it up, Coach, against that and everything. But how important is it, how do you get him from not having those dips, right? Like, we saw a really bad game,
Yeah,
and then there's really good Baker.
Mhm.
So how do you, is that kind of where you're at right now?
Yeah, that's the challenge, right? Is I don't think he ever struggles with adversity, right? I've never seen him really struggle with that. It's, okay, how do we simulate and then emulate success week in and week out? What does that look like? How do we continue to calm our feet down in times of crisis when the things are, you know, really moving fast, and you've got to slow down and just, you know, play the position? And I thought on Sunday you really saw him kind of be a surgeon in ways. He was a little surgical at times, and then he did move when he had to, but he didn't really move until later on in the game. So the guys were doing a great job blocking up front. I thought we did a nice job in protection for the most part of that game. And we were winning for the most part on the perimeter. They didn't play a ton of man coverage, so that helped, where you don't have to hold on to the ball for maybe a click longer and wait for somebody. The ball comes out, especially when you're getting free access. So that is something that we have to continue to try to challenge him with and challenge our offense with, is repeating success, and how do we continue to do that?
It's so critical to make those in-game adjustments as quickly as possible. Who is feeding you the information? Because you're on the sidelines,
Yep.
you have a much different view than the bird's eye view of the press box.
Yeah, so up top I've got Josh Grizzard. He's up top. He's giving me a lot of information. Jeff Castle gives me down and distance, field position, where we're at. And then Brian Picucci does defensive personnel, which was huge in this past game because they were rotating in from their 6-1 to their nickel to their other defensive structures, base when we went to 12. So those guys did a phenomenal job on Sunday. Like I said, I thought our staff as a whole really did a great job of executing this plan, getting the plan communicated to the guys. And then on Sunday, I thought we did a really nice job of, you know, talking through things post, you know, drive, after we had either a good or poor drive, come back, hey, reevaluate, what can we attack these guys with? It was a really strong collaborative effort from the staff.
We saw Brady spend a lot of time before the game catching
Yeah.
up with people he knew from the teams here, but also spent a lot of time with you.
Yeah.
I just want to ask you, if you'd met him before, and especially as a Northeast guy, how cool that was.
I met him in 2007. They played a playoff game against Jacksonville, won the game. I was there at the game, and I was with the running backs coach for the Patriots' son, Ivan Fears' son. He took me downstairs. I got to shake his hand. There's no shot he remembered that, but I did, obviously. I grew up going to Patriots games. That's where I grew up. I grew up going to Patriots training camp at Bryant College. I emulated him my entire life. I wore 12 because of him. So that was a really cool moment to be able to pick his brain, just talk football with him. That was probably something I'll never forget.
He seemed to be a pretty big fan of your work on Sunday too.
That helped. That helps when you're successful and you have a good game. And one of the guys you grew up idolizing happened to be a part of that game from calling it from that standpoint. So that was just that was a pretty cool day that, like I said, I'll never forget.
We talk a lot about Mike and Chris here for good reason, but when you look at their games, right, just what they do, is there two better guys that complement each other because they're so different?
Yeah.
They're both capable big plays.
Yeah, very different players, but can both attack the defense in similar ways where you saw Mike be able to attack the safeties on a couple out cuts on a sail break. You get Chris one-on-one on a slant that the guy's inside leverage on. Baker still kind of rips it in there, and Chris makes an unbelievable catch. Both guys just being so strong at the point of attack, strong at the catch point, and able to run through contact. Like, contact doesn't really bother either of those guys, and it does bother a lot of receivers. So that's something that is, you can't really simulate that out here all the time. You just can't, because we're not, we're coached to not grab and touch, but that happens, and it's not going to always get called. And so for those two to be able to play so strong as they do, it's definitely something you can't see during the week as much, but comes to life on Sunday.
What about having that true X receiver
Yeah.
in this offense? Because that's something that a lot of people have talked about
Yeah.
that they just haven't seen before.
True.
When McVay's run it and things like that.
Mhm.
What's it been like for you being able to have kind of that maybe missing piece?
Yeah, it helps dictate coverage in ways where you're able to put him in certain places and say, okay, we expect the double to come here. And if they don't double him, well, that's where, we should probably go with the ball if we're getting one-on-one. So it helps you prepare and understand, well, where can we move Mike to ultimately dictate where we want the ball to go. The first touchdown play of the game where we had him at number 3, at number 2, we motioned number 3 out to get the safety on him, and now we had a favorable matchup. In multiple other instances, you put him out at number 1. If they don't cloud him, well, the ball is going to, has a high probability of it going there. So that's what's helpful. It's also a challenge because you have to kind of look into their minds to see if this how they're going to handle them. And if not, hopefully the advantage goes our way.
Speaking of receivers, Cam Johnson dropped a wide open touchdown. I was kind of eating at him a little bit after the game. Happy about the win, but a little distraught about that drop. For a guy from Barton College to come to the NFL and have that moment, how do you coach him up and make sure he's ready to catch them?
Man, it happens. It's part of the game. Frustrating, sure, because that definitely would have put us at, I think, 28 in that moment. But look, I think it was Mike, or I forget who it was, said they dropped one of their first passes of their lives. I don't know which one of those guys said it. It happens. It wasn't for a lack of focus. I know that. He's a focused guy. He's locked in. He plays hard. That moment will come again, and you just hope that you learn from that moment, move on, and just keep going because he's got a bright future. Okay. Good?